Hey, right now we're in the 2000s, and 400 years ago, in the 1600s, an advent happened that changed the world as we know it, which is the creation of the King James Version of the Bible, which came to Africa, and this actually signified a time when people in Africa were colonized in heart, mind, soul, and body. And it's now 400 years, and it's time for us to leave this mentality and time for us to actually realize the emancipation in God, the emancipation in love, the emancipation in truth. It's been 400 years since we've been enslaved by this false doctrine that told us that one race is superior over another, yet everyone is taken from the ground and comes from the ground and goes back to the ground. So this is a false imperialist doctrine that was given to us that doctored and adopted what we really were in our minds. So it's been 400 years, and it's time to leave this false dichotomy and realize the truth in God, that everyone is created with love, through love, for love. And the moment that we begin to realize that all is love, and we begin to make love and not war, we begin to make love and not war. This is the moment when we begin to share, to expand, to be fruitful, and to multiply, which is our real doctrine, which is our real mandate, which is the real destiny of life on earth. It's been 400 years, and it's time to leave the mental shackles, because none but ourselves can free our minds. So what happened is that in the 1600s, in 1611, the King James Version of the Bible was established, and this came through evangelists and missionaries who came with this idea that they wanted to put the people under subjugation, because they believed that the Africans were not fit enough to rule themselves because of the curse of a person called Ham in the Bible. So when we read the story of Ham, what we're reading is a replica of the story of Abraham. Ham is the son of Noah. Abraham is the son of God. So not the son of Abraham, the son of Adam. Adam is the first man, and Adam and Noah are the first people on earth. And these people are responsible for everyone's population according to the stories in the Bible. This is how Adam comes about and gives life to everyone. After the water comes over the earth and God hovers over the water and creates life on earth. This is the same way that Noah comes on the earth after God creates a chaotic water over the earth, and this person comes and fertilizes the earth once again, replenishes the earth once again. So both of them are doing the same thing once again. They're both replenishing. So this is actually a story that is recurring. This is about a cycle. So the cycle that is happening, the cycle that is being broken, the cycle that has been happening for the past 400 years is a cycle of mental enslavement. So when people came with the Bible to Africa, it's important to realize that the Bible was already in Africa. Africa is Ethiopia. Ethiopia has its own Bible, the Ethiopian Bible, the oldest Bible in the world. And this is what people actually use to relate the Word of God, because the people who actually penned the Bible are people who are of African descent, because these people were the people who were in proximity with places like Israel. These were the people. So understanding that the Middle East is in Africa is to know the truth in the reality that we live in. The Middle East is in Africa because when you look at the Garden of Eden, you're looking at Africa and the Middle East. So this is what the continent actually is, the whole promised land. This is the land of milk and honey. So this is what was happening in the Garden of Eden. This is what was happening in the Garden of Evil. This is what happened. And this is what was happening to the first man and the first man once again. So the story of Noah is relating a story that is given after the world is flooded by God, and this flood is creating a new life on earth, and this is creating a new paradigm that is from a different understanding of what God is putting in this world. So this whole paradigm is creating a parallel of what is happening in the first person's narrative, that the parallel story being told is of a God who has a son. This son makes a problem, and then this son causes a problem, and this causes a certain curse to happen. And this same thing is happening with Noah, that Noah is taking the role of God in the second story, because Noah is the one who is doing the cursing after Ham, his son, uncovers his nakedness. So This is when Noah is in his tent and he is just lying there, wallowing in his nakedness. And Ham, his son, sees it. So Ham is the same person who has a son called Canaan. And Canaan is his son. Canaan is the son of Ham. Canaan is the one who gets cursed. So the son of Ham is Canaan. And Ham has other sons who are not cursed. And Noah has other sons who are not cursed. But the curse goes on Canaan. So this Canaanite curse is what was put on this understanding by the people who came to the garden. But this story in the garden, this story of the flood, is supposed to be related as the story of life on earth. This is the story that is being spoken of in another way about the story in Genesis. So this is in the video about Adam and Noah, and this is the same thing that is happening in the Old Testament and the New Testament. These are the cycles that are happening in the Bible. So this same cycle of slavery that is happening to the same people once again, the same people who were in slavery, the same Israelites are the same people who were enslaved by this doctrine that came through the awareness of one race wanting to be more superior than another, and coming with a lie that fed into the minds of the people who now believe that they are born to be curses. So I just want to clear out the air and make you understand what is happening with these stories, because in the garden, when they both eat the fruit, okay, when Adam and Eve are in the garden, they eat a certain fruit, and after they eat the fruit, they get an epiphany of their nudity. So they get knowledge that, wow, hey dude, we're actually naked, let's make clothes. So they get the knowledge and actually make clothes. And what is happening in the same story that is replicating the same understanding is that there is a person who is in this world now, this garden, Mount Ararat. They are in this place. They are subduing the world, and this person is lying in nakedness, and someone sees the nakedness. In the first story, the people were in nakedness, and they didn't see the nakedness. When they saw the nakedness, they covered the nakedness. In the second story, the person is naked. He can't see his nakedness. Someone else can see his nakedness, and someone else comes and covers the nakedness. So this is speaking in the allegory, in the symbology, in the reality. This is the truth in this reality, that the things that are actually being spoken of are things that are spiritually discerned, because this is a parable, because it's giving us a parallel. And knowing what Jesus said about parables is that they're only revealed to the people who are in his circle, people who are in his heart, people who he knows. This is what he says: I only tell it to my peoples. So this is to understand the parable in the garden in paradise. This is the parallel that is happening with Noah. So to uncover nakedness means to have knowledge, because when they had the tree of knowledge and they ate it, they were able to have knowledge and they knew they were naked. So this person who had knowledge was able to identify nakedness, which is to be able to have knowledge. So Ham was the bringer of knowledge. Ham was the one who had the knowledge, who he told his brothers, and his brothers were without the knowledge. It says that the brothers were without. So the brothers were naive. They were not smart. So this is how Ham actually educated his brothers. This is what is happening in the story of Noah. Okay, so the one in the garden, when it happens to Adam, is that in Adam is Aadam, and then Ham is Ham. And this is where we get Abraham. This is Ham. This is the same person, right? The father of all faith. Okay, so you are saved by faith from these curses in the world. This is to understand Abraham. This is to understand Ham, because everyone comes from the same family tree. This is the seed of Abraham. Ham. Okay, this is why it was important for God to put all of these H's and M's. But now when you remove the H that God put, you have Am, and Adam. So this is Am. Adam is a man, and Ham is a man. So this is talking about the first man, Ham, the first man, Adam. the curse that is coming to Adam is the same thing that is happening to Ham. The curse that is coming to Ham falls on his son, who's called Canaan. The curse that comes to Adam falls on his son, who's called Cain. Canaan and Cain. So when you're thinking of the curse in Canaan, then you're actually thinking of the curse in Cain. Okay? This is the Canaanite curse. This is not a curse for black people, yo. This is not a curse for black people. This is why we have to leave this pyramid. When God was created, okay? When God was created, he came as Adam. When Ham was created, he came as God. This is how everyone just understands that Ham was black. And this is where everything stops. Like, oh yeah, black curse, yeah. But then everyone who's created came as God through Adam, through the black man. Everyone. And everyone came through the woman. Because woman is the mother of all living. This is how the cycle started. Because Eve was given the name after the fall. Because she began the cycle by being the mother of all living. So it became an action. While before she was the female, the mother of breath, or the mother of life. This is what she was in the beginning, which is Mother Nature. This is who Eve was, the giver of life. But now she became the mother of living, the cycle. This is the 400-year cycle, which has to be broken by those who know. Because this is the understanding of God. God is 4. Let there be light. 4 letters create this. 400 words create this understanding. So this is to go to the promised land. This is the land of milk and honey. This is understanding that when God created this matrix, when he created this whole parable, he created this paradigm. He created this paradise. And through this, we know that now Ham is the first person who is mentioned as Adam. This is the same person who is mentioned as Abraham, the first of faith, the first in life, the first of life. So this is the first of man. And all of them have am. So both of them are I am that I am. This is the name of God, and this is the name of man. This is the name of Ham, and Ham creates all man. So through creating all man, this is how we have Ham and Adam. This is the cycle of life. So here, Noah, in the story of Ham, is the one who curses Ham, and the curse falls on his son, Canaan. In the story of Adam, God curses Noah, and his curse falls on Cain, because Cain is the one who kills the person, and he's the one who is responsible for this blood. But then Abel is the son that it was the one who he loved, and this is the one who was the second son, but he was replaced by a Seth son. This is the anointed son. This anointed is the appointed son. So this appointed son is actually the whole reason why this is happening, because of the anointing, the appointing, the second, the Seth, the second story. This is the second first man. This is why it's interesting to understand this whole understanding. So in the first it would be like in the last would be the first would be the last. This is to know that Jesus said in the last days it would be like in the days of Noah, to understand that the first would be last. Who we actually regard as the wisest, as the richest, as the truest, these are the poorest, the vilest, and the sickest. This is the last will be first. This is the understanding of what it is to be in the last days of Noah, the last days of knowledge. Because now we're talking about Ham, now we're talking about man. I am that I am. This is to understand the dominion that we were all given. This is to understand that the land of milk and honey is promised to everyone who knows his real light, the true Israelites. This is to know his real light. And this is to know that 400 years of slavery has happened because of 1611's Bible, which translates to when the Mayans were saying the new world is going to end and the other world is going to end in 2012, right? This is when all of this stuff is happening. This is what was happening, right? Because now we're in the 2000s. This happened in the 1600s, 17, 18, 19, 20. 400 years of this slavery and this mental and this mental depravity has killed people because of the case of Canaan. But the ones who are appointed are the sons of Seth. These are the sons who are learning from Enoch. These are the sons who are learning from Methuselah. Okay, this is the lineage, and this is where we get Noah. This is where we get knowledge. This is where we get the book of Enoch. This is where it is. This is where Seth is, the second, the appointed, the anointed. So to be anointed is to have this understanding. And to be anointed is to be listening to this right now. Because it's time to leave the slavery mentality and time to actually take dominion over what we are given. Because through this curse of the second man, it fell on his son, who is Canaan. Canaan had his brothers, and his brothers are Egypt. Okay, his other brother is Cush. His other brother is called Put, and Canaan is the fourth one. Okay, so this is 4, and this is a let there be light again. This is how God speaks, the four angels, the 4 cherubim. This is how it always is. This is just how it is. Okay, the 4 seasons, the 4 sons, and they came from a trinity. So this is actually divine, because the 3 sons of Noah gave him the 4 sons, which is 7, which is the number of completion, which is the rainbow that they're showing us in the book of Genesis. So it's time to leave this mentality. Know that God is not going to flood us. He's going to open the seas. This is what he says, because he's going to give us the rainbow. So he's not going to flood us, but he's going to open the seas, because the first will be last. Who we thought were the slickest, these are the slimiest. Because this is to know that in the last days it will be like in the days of Noah. Noah is the first man who was the second man, who came for the anointed, who came for the appointed ones. Okay, to be appointed is to know this, and the ones who are appointed will never fall away. The ones who were called from the beginning will always be there. So this is the hope and the truth and the reconciliation that we have through our salvation, that the first will be the last. And to know this is to know that we have freedom, we have dominion, we have territory. So we are not slaves. This is the mentality that came. But through all this, God said to them, now this is important, because scripture cannot be broken. If Jesus' words are anything to go by, scripture cannot be broken, right? So the first would be last, and in the first days it would be like in the days of Noah. This is knowing that this system is ending. Babylon has fallen, because in the last days it will be like in the first days. Because this is to know that they told us that we were slaves, enslaved and deranged, primitive. But what God said in Psalm 83 verse 1 to 5 is to say that in Psalm 83 verse 1 to 5, he's speaking that I have put certain hidden ones, my treasured ones. So when he was putting everything into the garden, he was putting plants and plans. Every plan in a plant is what creates the life on a planet. So every plant is actually a plan, because this plan gives us the breath. This is God's plan, the whole cycle of the breath of life, which is Eve, which is Mother Nature, which actually gives us the living and breathing, which is the first breath of life. This is the plan in this planet by the plants. Okay, so this is how God says be fruitful and multiply, and everything that God says is something that is fruitful. This is let there be light, because everything he says is fruitful. So he gave Adam this task to populate the whole world. And we know from science, we know from fact and not from fiction, that everyone comes from the heartland, the motherland, Africa. So this is what we actually understand when we go into the garden and we dissect the fact that the seed that is being spoken of, that is planted in the garden, is actually the seed that is planted in this world, which is the Garden of Eden, which is actually Africa, which is where everyone comes from. So this is still talking about the same thing. This is talking about the same thing yet again. So this is to understand Seth, the second, the appointed, the anointed. Okay, so this is what I want to point out. This is appointed. Okay, so this is to know that the first would be last. So the thing that was said by God is be fruitful and multiply. And he said, and you, my hidden ones, be fruitful and multiply. And you be fruitful and multiply. Okay, this is key to understand that scripture cannot be broken, every dot and every iota. So, and you be fruitful and multiply, and this is actually received by Put, because he put these words there. Okay, so this Put person has these words put into him, and he's put into this place to be fruitful and to multiply. However, there's always a paradox in terms of a parable, in terms of paradise. So this is the parable of the sower. Some of the seed fell on different parts of the soil, but the seed that was fruitful fell on the soil that was enriched 30, 60, 100-fold. So this is understanding that the words were put into put. These are the seeds. This is the parable of the sower. This is Jesus speaking about Noah, okay? Speaking about Noah. So the seeds are put into put. But put is apparently, paradoxically silent. We never hear about the fruits of put, but we do know that he doesn't die, because he's mentioned in the book of Isaiah, which Jesus is also reading, talking about put being this warrior, put being this, put being that, and then like, all right, they fell with their brothers and all of this. So what happened in the days of Noah? Because now we have to know that the book of Isaiah is speaking about Ethiopia. It's speaking about Cush. The book of Isaiah is the same one that is being read by the Ethiopian who comes from Cush. This is the same book that is in Acts. This is the same book that is in the book of Isaiah. This is the same book that Jesus is speaking about. This is the same book where Cush is made. This is the same book where Egypt is. So understanding the book of Isaiah is key to this. Do you understand this? So things were hidden. Thy hidden ones. So this is to understand that Noah is knowledge, okay? And through this, some things were hidden into him and put somewhere. So the paradox is that God says, be fruitful and multiply, but we don't see the fruit of put. So we know that fruits put was put somewhere, and this fruit was hidden. These are the hidden ones. These put is actually like, this is the land where put went. This was the land that was known to his brothers, the Egyptians, as the land of Put, the land of Ham, the land of man, the land of I am that I am, the burning bush. This is the I am, the Adam, and this is the land of the man, and this was the land of Put, and this is where he was put. So understanding that this is thy hidden one, which is actually being called the one in love, which is to leave this dichotomy of slavery and to know that God put something in you that was hidden so that it can be revealed, because you are the plant, you are the plan in this planet. So in this planet, every plant or family tree is put into the garden of Eden, which is where every tree sprouts, which is where every fruit is. So put is the tree of life. So this is knowing that people have forgotten about the tree of life, and this is where it was put. It was put into the garden. It was put, okay? And this was the hidden fruit that people are going to be eating in Zion. So understanding what we're eating in Zion is knowing where the fruit was put. This is the earth. This is the heart. This is the mind of God, which actually created this paradox in order for people to enslave certain people who are his real Israelites, so that they can know, they can see the light that something was put and something was hidden. So now the first will be the last. You see that what is hideous is what was glorious, what was appointed, right? What was anointed. So touch not thy anointed ones, and know that God has put them there. They were put to be fruitful, and they have been hidden. But now the harvest is white. Didn't Jesus say that the harvest is white? Right? So understand this and know that black or white, this is the land of milk or honey, milk and honey. This is the promised land. This is what God put in us. This is knowing Ubuntu. This is knowing who knew. This is knowing morality, orality, oral, moral, tradition. This is the oracle in Isaiah. This is where it is. This is where it was put. And this is the tree of life, because we are all plants. We are all plans. We are the planet. This is how the wise people shall actually be like the stars and planets, yo. So people shall be like these stars, right? So this is understanding that we are created by this Ham. This Ham is actually representing the first Adam, the first man. This is Abraham. This is the same Ham. This is I am that I am. And this is where we all come from.